So now I welcome you all. I'm Surbhi Singhal from International Council for Circular Economy. And this series, which is running, this is our webinar series, which is specifically on circularity in WEEE, which is based from electronics and electrical equipment. We have organized this series in collaboration with Sustainable Electronics Recycling International, SERI, USA, and this is also supported by Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MITI India. This series aims to bring together stakeholders from diverse sectors to discuss the importance of responsible recycling, discuss policy interventions, explore innovative approaches, and promote best practices in managing WEEE effectively. In our last webinar, our focus was on recycling standards, and we talked about responsible recycling. Dr. Sandeep was there, Deepali was there, Deepali Khetariwal. He is the lead of SERI USA, SERI India. And we talked about responsible recycling and the recycling standards which are present on a global scale. So this time in this webinar, as you all know, we will be talking about Right to Repair Act that has emerged as a transformative policy tool to combat the increasing challenges of electronic waste and promote a sustainable circular economy. As electronic devices become ubiquitous in modern life, their rapid obsolescence and lack of repairability contribute significantly to environmental degradation. And this webinar also aims to unpack the critical role of Right to Repair Act in extending product life cycles, reducing e-waste, and fostering sustainable consumption and production patterns. By enabling consumers and independent repair providers to access essential tools, parts, and information, the Act is poised to drive systemic changes across the electronics industry, we hope. So now let me introduce you to our speakers of today. From the ministry, we have Mr. Surendra Gotharwal. He is the scientist D in the ministry. Then we have from SERI, Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee. He is the senior advisor at SERI. Then we have Mr. Raj Sahu. He is the senior director and head of groups from Samsung Electronics. And to bring the European perspective, we are glad to have Mr. Matthias Reusing. He is the first Counselor European delegation to the African Union. Thank you everyone for being here, all the speakers, those who have agreed to contribute to this subject today. Thank you for being here. Now I'll invite Mr. Surendra Gotharwal to please come up and take the mic and start, whatever he has to share about this Right to Repair Act and what is ministry exactly doing in this direction and the other initiatives of ministry in electronic waste management. Yes, sir. Over to you.
Thank you, Surbhi. First, I would like to thank ICC and SERI for organizing this webinar. Well, this is a very important topic, and we are talking for last 2 years in our country, Right to Repair Act. I remember when I joined under Dr. Chatterjee 2014, there we were talking about the e-waste management. Now in last 5 years, I've seen this entirely, it is changed. Now we are talking about circularity. Then now we are talking about the Right to Repair Act. So I think this is a good sign that we are moving towards the circularity, whatever vision is given by our Honorable Prime Minister. So this is a good thing because we are promoting our various ESDM sectors, different policies we have initiated. So this is very important to go for this circularity approach in our country. So this is my thanks to SERI and ICC. So I have small presentation. So I will share my screen. Hope my screen is visible. Presentation is visible.
Yes, yes.
So thank you. So my introduction is already given by Surbhi. So I'm Surendra Gotharwal, working in Ministry of Electronics and IT as a scientist. So you can see our some logos here. This greeny and our one mascot is there. We have done a lot of work in this e-waste management area. And this logo is today only I have taken from Ministry of Commerce website. This is Jago Grahak Jago. This is especially for Right to Repair Act. This is the we can say that this is the awareness for the customers they should know what rights they have as a consumers. So this is the some background slides I want to give. This is maybe all of you are knowing this. What is the our e-waste data generation globally and in our country. So I have taken this data from European Union, this ITU report, Global E-Waste Monitor. So this 62 million metric ton is our e-waste generation globally, and India is contributing 4.17 million metric ton in 2022. So now we are the third largest generator of e-waste. And you see in this e-waste, this worth of this secondary raw material is around 91 billion US dollar, and we are only having the secondary resource material extraction 28 billion. So we are losing lot of critical minerals and precious matter required for our next generation of products. So I want to mention few challenges why we require this right to repair, and what are the issues we are facing in our country or maybe global. Some best practices I have taken. So you see this, their products are having shorter life because of this technology is changing every day. Then our products are absolutely by maybe we are using electronic products for 1 year, 2 year. So that is not a good thing, because we should go for circularity, and we should increase the end of life of our products. So there is also growing demand of triple E products because technology is changing, different products are coming. That's why this electronic waste is generating more and more day by day. And even this, our customers also don't know, they are don't aware about the proper usage and proper disposal and what rights they have for for repairing their products. And we don't have affordable process technology also, and we have in vast informal sector in our country. So that is also a big challenge. So I'm just for right to repair, what are the benefits we should have. So we should consider the right to repair act in our country, because we can increase the end of life of the product, so we can reduce, because we are talking about the circularity. So circularity, this right to repair, the repairing and refurbishment is also very important component, whether vertical. So I think we should consider that also, because it's increasing the life. And second benefit is of this right to repair is the economic benefit, because we are reducing the burden of to the customers, cost burden, because if he can repair, he can increase the life of the product, so that he knows he's not buying for any new product. So it is also economic benefits to the customers. And environmental impact is also there. We are this minimizing our e-waste and contributing in our circular economy. And one of the important benefit to the customer is that they are having choice. They can get their products at their own, or they can go to the local repair shop and they're getting the genuine products. Accessibility also to for repairs is also there. So all the devices can be repaired easily in their nearby area in the authorized service center if genuine products are made available to the customers. Getting some disturbance. So innovation is also there, and competition is also there in among the manufacturer for this, if a right to repair act is there. So this is just, I'm giving one picture of why we require this critical critical minerals are very important for our next generation production or next generation electronic manufacturing. So for this for our country's critical minerals, this report. So we have around 30 critical minerals. They are very we are maybe some dependency on imports. So that's why we should think about the more increase the end of life of the product, so we can reduce the import burden, or also we can increase the end of life of the electronic products. So just I'm coming to the topic of this webinar. So this is the right to repair. So I want to give some picture what we are doing in our country. So we have our Ministry of Consumer Affairs. So recently they have set up a committee to come up with the right to repair framework. So recently we have developed our framework. So here we are giving a customer to chance to repair their product at an optimal cost instead of buying new products. So this all information is available on this our MCA website. So and the manufacturer are mandatory, they have to provide this their repair parts to any third party rather than only depending on the original manufacturers. So they are providing all genuine components and products to the market. So any customer can go and can get repaired, or it can repair by himself also. So this is the mandatory requirement for the manufacturer. And this framework also giving help to trade between the original manufacturers and third party buyers and the seller. So creating this is also creating new jobs in our country. So this is the framework recently we have prepared in our country. So these are the some sectors covered in our this uh, right to repair act framework. So here these are the initial focused equipments, like we are targeting farming equipments and mobile phones and tablets and batteries is also covered here, and consumer electronics equipments like refrigerator, washing machine, AC, all products are covered. And we also targeted automobiles related equipments here. So all, so this is the complete list we have covered in our framework. So this you can see farming equipment, tractor parts, harvester, water pump motors are covered. And for electronics triple E sector, with mobile phones, electronic display and data storage components we have covered. So you can see mobile, tablet, laptop, printers, headphones, earbuds, all most of the electronic items have been covered under this framework. And this consumable products also we have covered: washing machine, refrigerators and automobile equipments. So these are the initial, this is the initial stage. Maybe we will be like our e-waste management rule, we initially had only 21 items, now we have 106 items. So we will be, I mean, after the stabilizing of this framework or some guidelines, we will be adding new more products in this framework. So this is one portal this Government of India created. So this portal providing the consolidated information to the customer for their into the contact details of the major customer, this manufacturer, for for easy access and getting the all information. Where is the nearby center? How they can, there they can connect, and what are the rights they have, and what are the warranties is they are providing. How they can benefit it through this warranty. All information is provided on this portal. And as I mentioned, this customers, they are benefited with this information, because this main issue is the awareness is not there. So people don't know what right they have. So that's why we have created it portal, and this we are spreading this information all over the country through different platforms. So this is also one platform I'm mentioning. So this is a, I'll see, for our awareness activity. So they can see this variety of services centers available nearby, and what are the authorized service providers, and how they can get repair, and what is the cost. Even cost also they are providing here. What is the product cost, that also maintaining here. So these are the some registered brand. This registered at Ministry of Commerce Affairs. So most of the big brands are there. They're already part of this framework. They already given consent and they're providing their services. Many more are there, but I have taken some big brands here. So one of the major challenge that we have, we should have our skilling is a very important part here for this refurbishment and repairing. So this is a one quote given by our Honorable Prime Minister of India: the skill development of new generation is the nation need and is the foundation of Atmanirbhar Bharat, means self-sustained Bharat, self-sustained India. This is a quote given by our Honorable Prime Minister. So this skilling and capacity building, the refurbishment is also have a very, we have good job opportunity. This is the report from this Manufacturing Association for Information Technology made that $20 billion of revenue can be generated in India for next 4 years through this repairing market, and around 5 million jobs can be created in our country to repairing and refurbishment. So there is a huge opportunity for India to go for refurbishment and repairing. So in this direction, the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, Government of India, and the Ministry of Electronics and IT has taken various initiatives to create the skill in our country. So Skill India program has been launched, and we have the Ministry of Skill initiated one diploma course in mobile phone repairing. And we, through our one of our center, National Institute of Electronics and Information Technology, NILIT. It is the autonomous body of Ministry of Electronics and IT. We have created a lot of courses, and we have I think more than 1 lakh manpower we are creating annually in through these courses. Many more courses are there. I have taken only few here just for example and the information. This is the one of the major agency, they are doing refurbishment, this repairing, refurbishment and repairing courses across the country. So these are the some skilling and capacity building program we are doing here. Thanks. So I think this is a very short presentation. So Hope I could give you the broad idea about our what are
Thank
the
you. Thank you.
framework we have, and what are the capacity building and skill development program we are doing. We are also working on this e-waste management area. I thought this topic is especially for right to repair act. Otherwise, I could
Yes, sir.
speak on e-waste management activities, also circularity. We have developed
Please.
different technology for our. We have our center of excellence. This is the India's first center of excellence we have set up in our one of our R&D laboratory, CMET. It was a baby. This is a initiative taken by Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee only. Now we are just making it self-sustained center. So we have developed 5 technology, PCB recycling technology, lithium and battery technologies there, and the magnet also we are developing, and this solar panel, CFL, CPET, the CPET Bhubaneswar, we have developed this plastic recycling technology. Lot of initiative we have taken in last 1 decade to achieve this circularity. And we also did many skill development program, like we have set up like dismantling segregation center in different parts of the country, like in north side we have created in Punjab University Chandigarh, in the eastern side we have created in Nelit in Gangtok, and the southern part we have set up one center in CMET Hyderabad. So we are giving full-fledged the skilling programs doing continuously, we are doing for last 5 years. And this informal cell as you know, informal sector is also a big challenge for our country. So we are providing the technology handling and this proper scaling to set up the e-waste recycling clusters with indigenous technology. So we are providing subsidy, we are providing this in financial incentive, technology handling, complete solution we are providing to contribute in our circular economy vision of the government of India. So this is the some brief about our activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, sir. It's so good to see what all initiatives that Mighty is taking. And, you rightly said there is a huge informal market in e-waste recycling, and also in repairing and refurbishing market also. It's a huge, informal sector who's working behind it in India. And I think in many countries, it's not something just which India is challenged about, but they are taking care of a lot of e-waste here. So, documenting and bringing out some policies towards them only ensures that the future will be bright. There will be, formal education that will be given to people, and how to handle all these things, and how to go about it. What is the right direction? So thanks a lot for sharing all of this perspective of Mighty and all the initiatives of Mighty. Now I would like to invite Dr. Sandeep Chatterjee from SERI. He will be speaking about the global initiatives that are being taken in this direction, and what is the status of Right to Repair Act globally. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon, good morning to other part of the country. Surinder, can you unshare?
I've already unshared.
No, now it is.
Yes, yes. Yeah, your screen is visible, sir.
Visible?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You can continue.
So, thank you for ICCE for giving a consistent support to Sustainable Electronics Recycling International to propagate the sustainable electronics in different series. This is one of the important series. We generally believe that refurbishment is the better than recycling. And as you see, for last 2 decades of economic development, without electronics, it is not possible. So entire globe, we have seen that how the electronic waste is growing now. Almost 62 billion kgs of electronic waste has been generated, as Surinder mentioned. And all devices are interconnected now through data. That is another challenging world where data degradation, other things also require for refurbished electronics. So this is one of the main talking point today in the world. And if you see, the electronics are going in different sectors, from agriculture to communication, IT, you see transport, nuclear field, any civil aviation. You go any field, you will be actually embracing electronics for better productivity, better efficiency, effectivity. With this type of growth, if one finds that e-waste management will be the right approach, it is really a notion. It is not possible to have e-waste management without having a proper design of the product for better repairability or refurbishability. So it will be a real mess of having a huge, hazardous material in the globe. So we require to change our mindset to the circularity and sustainability, where the digging of minerals from the mother earth to be thought through, how the life cycle analysis can be seen at the end of life of the stage, and how the product can be designed so that you can have a better life of the product in every stage. And then repairability should be strengthened. So then the refurbished electronics is another domain of product by itself. So then how long it will be stayed, and then finally if the components are also not cannot be reused, then you can thought through about recycling of the product, so that the valuable materials can be extracted and used in the fresh electronics. So in that way, how the sustainability will be defined. Reusable electronics, we do know so where from they are coming. All those route, returns, repairs, trade-in, upgrades, remarketing, recycling, all those trade are available around the world. And in our country also, they are available in some form, but mostly in the informal sector. But this is a very interesting figure showing that always giving a chance to repair, reuse, remanufacturing is far better than going, single use or obsolescence. And of course, recycling is a cost. So refurbishment and repairability or remanufacturing should be given a loud chance. So this is how circular economy can be achieved in a fast track method and more sustainable way. So and internationally, it has been tested. One UK company, black market, shown that they can give another product life of iPhone by 9 years, refurbished phone. Similarly, other phones are also 5 to 9 years life can be enhanced. So this is a business practice. It is not a unprofessional job like in India. Different corners you have some repairing center. It is basically the refurbished market, refurbished sector, I should say. So another very interesting figure I've just digged out from my data. In 2001, actually India's smartphone, there are 50 million has been refurbished. This is the data. And the same statistic is showing by 2026 will be having 100 million smartphone will be refurbished. So how much you can save as a material? If you see 0.1 million tons of material we have saved in 2021, where 45,000 tons are the metals, 32,000 tons are the glass, and 17,000 are plastic. Similarly, it will be almost doubled in 2026. And energy, if you see, that is very interesting. Or already you have saved around 89 billion kilowatt hour energy for not producing that 50 million phone. So I'm just talking about one item. So if you see the entire electronics, so how much you can save from the energy point of view and the material, one can really understand. So in that fashion, if you are really interested for a green energy and green product, so some of the elements we are heavily dependent upon, like lithium, graphite, cobalt, nickel. And one study of International Energy Agency showed that they will be enhanced by 42 times. Lithium will be enhanced by 42 times in 2040. Similarly, graphite will be 25 times, cobalt will be 21 times, nickel will be 19 times, and rare earth will be 7 times. So much of the material is available in the mother earth. That is a real question. So that is how we are discussing today the right to repair. What it is actually the legal right to owners of the device, that is consumer, to have a freely modify repair products such as electronics, automobiles, and other farm equipment. And consumers should have an independent choice for repairing that. For necessary tools, parts, information of the repair product should be available to them. And it has actually started from a social movement of the citizen, putting pressure to the government to enact laws protecting the right to repair, and movement advocates for policy and regulation to ensure the consumer, to have that facility. So if you see the actually the different challenges that restrict the repair presently, that is access to the spare parts, repair manuals, schematics are not available with the consumers or the ordinary shop. Tool and software, there are smartphone, laptop where specialized software or diagnostic tools to perform the repair, so he cannot actually initiate the repair without that software and tool. And they are talking about intellectual property, so there will be a violation, legal issue also, so that can be violated if someone is interested to unscrew that device for repairing. So obsolescence and software lock is also another issue. There's a planned obsolescence for a product, manufacturer deciding how long it will work, and there is a software lock as well. And some of the devices are designed in such a way they're glued and soldered so that they cannot be separated for the repairing or replacement. There are software lock, as I mentioned, firmware that can limit the functionality of the third party. Legalizing modification, shifting industry practice. So these are all some of the issues are restraining the consumer to have a entire right of the product after purchasing for their longer life of the product. So what are the advantage? Of course, consumer will have a cost advantage. Always repairing a device would be cheaper than going for a new product. Consumer autonomy, we can empower the consumer to move control on their profession, and also choose to repair, upgrade, and modify the product based on their needs. When I need to change them, that would be my own choice as a owner. So this is the advantage. What are the challenge? As I mentioned, design is not available. There are manufacturing service centers are also not conveniently located. There are unavailability of parts and repair information design, access to the tool component and independent repairs. There are always a argument that this will be unsafe. There's a security issue, and also the software barrier and patent right enforcement of trademark. All those things are actually creating problem for ordinary consumer to go for a third party repair. And consumer right, what is the argument? Consumer is saying time of repairing, price of repairing, environmental harm, and small businesses and employment or convenient cost, etc. The consumer's argument. Manufacturer's argument is their intellectual property, safety, cyber security, liability of the reputational harm. They are arguing that if you are repairing from another party, if something goes wrong, the product, brand name will be reputational issue. So design choice and consumer demand. So these are all some of the issue and quality of the service. And of course, we all know, as Surinder also mentioned, this is an environmental benefit. So this will give you the sustainability product easier to repair, life cycle of the reduce the e-waste, mitigate the environmental impact, and extending product lifespan, right to repair support, sustainable consumption practice, and also the environmental protection, frequent disposal of electronic device. This can be mitigated. Manufacturing a new electronics is a resource incentive and polluting process. So if you are having a longer life of the product, or the second life or third life of the product, of course, this resource extraction would be reduced. So in that way, long term, it will be environmental beneficial. Now, the legal issue around this, of course, from the manufacturing side, the patent rights, enforcement of trademarks. arrangement of non OEM parts and independent repairs, software locks and firmware update, and end user license agreement. Whenever a consumer is purchasing on product, there is a white paper gives you the do's and don'ts. So that is called end user license agreement. From the consumer side, it is producers repairing should be considered as a right, and EULA should not protect manufacturers to deny those access to the tools, design, manual, etc. Now, if you see the international scenario, it has started from USA. There are many states adopting in some form of the right to repair from California, Massachusetts, and other part. And they are in some stage for in some of the products they are taking also tractor, farming equipment, and some of the white goods they have started with. European Union typically coming with some eco design regulation and also set right to the producer to actually offer their spare parts for 5 years. UK is also having a similar type of consumer protection regulation 2021. The repairability of the washing machine, refrigerator, and other things they are ensured by 7 to 10 years. France has come, in a very interesting way. They are defining a repairability index law. So all the products will be sold in the market with a certain repairability index, 10 out of 9.5, 7.5, depending on the repairability feasibility. So it will be an informed choice by the consumer to purchase those products based on their repairability index. Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Sweden are also discussing this subject very seriously in some form policy push. Instead of having a actual act, they are trying to address the matter. Now, in India, as already Surinder mentioned, I'm not mentioning, there was a committee formed by Consumer Affairs Ministry in July 2022, and they have few interaction. There is a meeting held in December 2022. There is a actually information sharing is the primary base of Government of India stand to empowering consumer. So they are providing different type of manuals, tools, and the location of the service center. All those information is available in Department of Consumer Affairs portal. That is the way they have now started it. Now, another very important issue associated with right to repair, I should mention, if you are actually promoting the refurbished electronics, so data available in that electronics should be taken care of. So that is a subject called IT asset disposal, that is ITAT. Is a specialized process, but somehow in our country, at least I have found there is a less knowledge about it. Bulk consumers are also not following that ITAT very carefully. And also there are many IT companies, mid-level companies, they are not aware of this. So we are now sensitizing this. So before going to the refurbished for the second use, the data should be sanitized properly. So there is a specialized process, and it has been found globally that 60% data are breached in the third party. So once the product are being sold another client, so the data being leaked at that stage. So that requires a specialized ITAT process. So this is a recovery, data destruction, refurbishment, test grade, and remarketing. So there is a specialized process. ITAT take care. There are ITAT software also. In our country, Bangalore and some other city, there are ITAT service provider. They are providing to the big tech and few big manufacturing, big companies. And so this process is actually taking care of information security, data privacy, sustainability, and circular economy. But the initial three stage require details process that required to be done as per the rules of the country as well as the international rule. Like in our country, we have a data protection rule already exist. and in Europe, you have a GDPR, HIPPA. So what are the data? If it is a personal data in our country, breach of personal data is a punishable offense, and there will be a fine of 270 crores Indian rupees. So that is the fine, assigned by the parliament. Now, this ITAD will give you the this type of set of service: asset management, data center decommissioning, data erasing, hard drive shredding, refurbishing, and repair and return. So this is a process, but there are some ITAD company are not R2 certified. So R2 is a certificate provided by SERI. This is their owning the certificate. R2 is the only certificate in the world which is giving actually the data sanitation certification of the ITAD company. So if you have a R2 certified ITAD company, then you will be actually doubly sure that your data is assured. So in R2 certificate core requirement 7 takes care of data security part, where the documentation is very important. They are taking care of various stages of data documentation. Then we have a security issue, and then the process issue. It's an elaborate process. I'm just showing it. It is available in the net R2 standard. Then after this entire core and annexure, there are two categories. For core, for all the companies are going for electronic waste recycling or ITAD, they require that core. But if you are really for refurbishment business and other process where data is most important, so the annexure B should be additionally you have to take care. That is the annexure B. So data sanitation, this is a very thorough process has been taken. What type of data you are actually protecting, where it should be protecting, how it should be described properly, and those documentation required to be done. And if you are really interested for defense or some strategic sector, physically you want to destroy this, that also requires certain process. So this is also elaborated in annexure B for magnetic tape type of storage. For a SSD type of storage, what type of process should be. I'm not going into details. So these are all. So my suggestion would be we should require a ITAT. We should require a ITAT refurbished, and that should be also protected by some data sanitation process or standard. So how are this right to repair now move? Of course, long way. There are a lot of countries are coming with some different type of policy push before going to the act. So there is a consumer lobby, there are a manufacturer lobby, and satisfying all the sectors. It will take some more time to finally we have a right to repair. So IPR issues to be addressed, and there are like France repairability index. Policy push can also be done without going for a direct act, so that it will be the informed choice of a consumer to go for that. So this is some of the way we can manage. And of course, some initiative have already started for consumer. There are two companies in USA, repair.org, iFixit, giving a very good quality, training modules, design specifics for many different types of smartphone, tab, and other devices. So one can go and visit them to have learn the things. And for manufacturer sides also, a lot of initiatives has been taken. I can mention one for Apple. Self service repair is a new website they have started for offering help to the individual repairer or consumer who wants to repair. So the parts manual and other things are being shared. So that's all from my side. Thank you, ICE, again for giving this chance to say my few words about right to repair. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sandeep. It was indeed an insightful presentation. It shared a lot of, facts and figures and insights on right to repair. I'm sure all the participants who are attending this session must have enriched their knowledge about this act and how it is taking shape in the sector of e-waste. So now, as an interesting fact, that this webinar is actually having the policymakers, the ministry, the recycling standards company also. We have participants who are the consumers, and interestingly, we have the manufacturers also available. Mr. Raj Sahu. Now, I would like to invite him. He is from Samsung Electronics. Thanks, Mr. Raj Sahu, for being here today. And I think we are going to have an important discussion today about Right to Repair Act. I think manufacturers have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders when it comes about this discussion specifically. So we would want to hear your perspective, as Dr. Sandeep has already shared a lot, that there are arguments from the manufacturer's side that why this should not happen or why this should happen. So let's hear from you directly how you think about it. Yeah, please on.
Thank you. Thank you, Surbhi. Thank you, Dr. Chatterjee. Thank you, Surendraji. Thank you, the participants here. Just to set the context right, so we are one of the. I'll be speaking for Samsung. So we are one of the proponents or advocates for right to repair to come and come with the right perspective, right force. And when the right to repair portal was launched in by the Department of Consumer Affairs, everybody. I mean, I'm happy to announce this, that Samsung was the first one to onboard into that right to repair portal, which is a kind of case study that we have actually created, and the government of India has actually appreciated that in a big way. That how we have segregated all the segments for the products or the product segments, given all the information related to the repairing or the information that should actually go to the consumer. Having said that, the on operational aspect, which Surendraji and Dr. Chatterjee actually briefly touched upon, is the concept or the idea of repairability index. So for everybody present in this room, I would tell that government of India has been very proactive and very open-minded in terms of discussing the entire thing, and trying to bring in the repairability index in the country. Of course, Dr. Chatterjee talked about that how France has actually brought the repairability index. There is a legislation also there, and European Union to say is actually has already passed. So from next year, it will be, on all the 28 members of European Union will be having that. But there are a few countries on a proactive basis, they have already done it. And the best example to say is of course France, which in fact is going a step forward. And when I'm saying step forward, and what Surendraji actually said, that it is all about circularity, it is all about how the things should be actually done, and the critical metal or mineral should be protected, and not the virgin resources should be used, and how the secondary resources should be can be actually used. So that particular concept. So they are moving towards the concept of sustainability as far as France is concerned. So. I like to give a perspective on repairability index, where I'll cover what is repairability, how the consumer is impacted, what does the rights of consumer actually talks about as far as circularity is concerned, and why they should be empowered and all that. And the concept of repairability index, because the other two speakers have not talked about it, and hence I would like to kind of take up that particular thing. So I'll share my screen here. Just bear with me just 1 second. Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. So the context I want to set here is that what is repairability?
Sahu, can you
We
zoom
all
in
know.
this is screen? Excuse me. Can you zoom in this screen? We are seeing the complete desktop.
I'll zoom in. I'll zoom in.
Yeah.
It's fine? Okay, Cool. So what I'm trying to project here is, or trying to kind of probably discuss here is, what exactly is repairability? So we all know the concept of end of life. So that end of life, and after that, the product is actually discarded. I mean, it is thrown, or people go and kind of recycle, right? So what happens that recycling happens, which is a very good thing, which is all about circularity. But what if we can actually extend the life? Not end of life, but let's say there is an end of life of mobile phones are 5 years, is 5 years. So if it can survive for, let's say, 7 years or 8 years or 9 years or 10 years, if that product can actually survive, so that is where the repairability comes. So it adds on to the entire circularity or circular nature of the electronic sector. And there is where the repairability index actually comes into the picture. I'll come to that. So this is where, and when I'm talking about repairability, it should start from the design itself. When we are conceptualizing, let's say, a new mobile phone or a new electronic product, so how it is designed so that it is easy to dismantle, it is easy to then again reassemble, it is easy to repair, and the critical matter, I mean, we all know that PCBs have gold, copper, aluminum, all those things could be actually saved. So that is one aspect of that is design. And then, of course, the usage and then availability of spare parts. So spare parts could be the same old spare parts that can be reused. That concept is also there. Then availability of the documentation. What Dr. Chatterjee talked about, one of the brands, mobile phone brands that they have just started. But here is where I would actually, say that Samsung has actually pioneered that. We were as I said, we were the first one to onboard and provide all the documentation, tutorials, videos, and then now we are moving one step, or rather many steps forward, where we are making those spare parts available online. So that is the biggest aspect as far as repairability is concerned. Either it is right to repair, or it is repairability index is concerned. So making the parts available and not kind of having a captive ecosystem, that my part can be, or the parts which are available, that should be universal in nature, that can be used with any product for that matter. So Samsung has taken lead, and we are making it available online and from anywhere, just like Amazon. You order anything, so you can order these parts and with a reasonable pricing. So these are the aspects which actually comprise, which defines repairability. How, whether a mobile phone is repairable, but what are the components of repairing? So documentation includes video tutorials, the text tutorials, the consumer forums, then availability of spare parts, availability of technicians, all those things actually comprises repairability. The second is, of course, which I talked about, that what are the five necessary aspect of repairability. So if you see the right hand side corner, I have actually documented it. So first is, of course, documentation. Second is disassembly. Third is availability of spare parts with the right pricing. And fourth is, of course, other specific criteria. So for example, any product has a software, and then the software is updated. You go and update the software, and then your product becomes very slow, and then there is no repair. Then you will have to kind of buy a new product, because the product is so slow that you cannot use it. So those are some of the things that should not, any manufacturer should not do. Samsung, from the very beginning, our global CEO, chairman, everybody has been speaking that these are some of the things where universally people can use. The charger, for example, the USB charger or the C port charger that we are talking about, that is where that kind of thing should be available with all the products. And it should not be special charger for any product, that should be kind of propagated. So these are some of the facets as far as repairability is concerned, and what is repairability, repairability index is there. So now coming to the next slide. So Dr. Chatterjee actually touched upon this, that which are the countries which are talking about this. So as I said, European Union has already kind of passed it. Within the European Union, France is the lead player, which is going ahead with many other aspects. Then Belgium is, of course, the second country within European Union, which is bringing the right repairability index within right to repair, configuration. And then UK, which is not part of European Union, but it is in Europe, which is, has passed the eco design and energy regulations as far as vis-a-vis the repairability of the electronic products are concerned. And in the USA, there are few states have actually brought in this particular legislation. And when we talk about India and seeing the space at which we are actually working, as I said, repairability, right to repair portal was launched about almost 2 years ago. So we are actually taking a lead much ahead of European Union. Then repairability index already we are talking about. So that is already part of the entire ecosystem. And probably very soon you'll see the first draft, which will be floated by Government of India, and then it will be open for public discussions, and all these aspects which I talked in the previous slide, that will be more or less included in this. So there's a committee that has been formed. It's a very democratic committee where manufacturers, consumer forums, government, different department of, wings of the government like NITI, DPIT, MOFCC, everybody is in that particular committee, and a very good discussion that has been taking place. Now, next part, I'll just give you a kind of ringside view that how the repairability index looks like as far as France is concerned. So, which Dr. Chatterjee actually just said that it is in the scale of 1 to 10. So, if somebody has a scale of, let's say, 9.5, then this is most repairable. That means and nowadays in France and in Europe, what is happening that if the repairability of the product is high, people are going and buying that product more and more because they know that by spending, let's say, 100 rupees, the product will go on for, let's say, 10 years rather than end of life, or it will end in 5 years or 3 years or 4 years. So they are spending more, they are ready to pay more if the product is high on repairability. So these are some of the components. If you see the elements as far as the repairability index is concerned, one is, as I said, documentation is one part. Second part is disassembly, accessibility of tools. If I talk about this mobile phone, which requires a very small screwdriver, everybody doesn't have it. So where will I go for a small repair? So it should be available. So as I said, Samsung is making it available on a rental basis. We are not even charging that. We are not forcing the consumer to you have to buy it. So we are providing that kind of facility also. So we are democratizing that. Then availability of spare parts. Let's say a smallest of the spare parts should be available so that if I want to repair it myself, then I can actually do small repairs. But if it is complicated, of course, then technically qualified technicians should be repairing it. So all those aspects are there, and according to that, there is scoring. Just like, let's say, I'm sure you all know about the star rating of the products. Like 5-star will consume least amount of energy or electricity. So similarly here, there will be a scoring, and the consumer can actually decide that if whether I have to buy a product, a mobile phone, which is high on repairability, which is low on repairability. So let's say a mobile phone is available for $100 and it is 9.5 on repairability, and a mobile phone which is let's say available for, let's say, $90, but it is, let's say, 5.5 in repairability. Obviously, I'll pay 1 rupee more or 10 rupees more, which have a high repairability index. So that kind of information, it will be flashed or shown in under the repairability index regime, which will be a reality in the country very soon. The next slide, I'll take you through that. What are the sub criteria as far as those 5 things that we have actually talked about. Documentation, that disassembly map, it should be available in the documentation when we buy the user manual. If you'll see, so those should be. I will not spend much of time, but these are for. You can click a photograph of this and then keep it. So these are some of the sub criteria that government is actually talking about. That updates. Let's say the operating system of a mobile phone. So how frequently it is updated, and if it is updated, let's say if you update a security patch in your mobile phone or in your laptop, whether it will go slow, whether it will become slow. And if it is slow, then what can I reset it? If resetting is not allowed, then how should actually I go forward about it? So these things, will be there in the sub criteria. And then these are the deliberations, I mean, which I think committee, Surendraji is there, so probably you can take a note of it. And when the committee meeting was actually happening in Doka, I think from your ministry, somebody was there and he has taken. So these are some of the, it is not that the manufacturers are opposing the repairability index or right to repair. These are some of the practical problems that, let's say, if we allow a non-trained technician to operate and try to repair a mobile phone, and what if he is not able to, and then the mobile phone, goes from bad to worse, then who should be liable for that? And then, of course, the intellectual property and all those things should be protected. So there are six elements which should be deliberated. And I'm sure in the committee meeting, which I have seen, I have attended, all these things were actually deliberated in a very good way. I must compliment Department of Consumer Affairs also, that they have done a fabulous job as far as consultation process is concerned. Fantastically, they have implemented, not implemented, but accepted or heard everybody around. Either it was the consumer forums, the representative from them, either it is manufacturers, either it is from different ministries, let's say Ministry of Environment and Forest and Climate Change, either it is METI. They have heard everything and they have tried to incorporate everything. And the law that will come out, probably you'll see that will be very comprehensive and very helpful for everyone. So probably I'll end with this particular thing, that if any lawmaking is happening and every manufacturer, let me assure you that as far as Samsung is concerned, for example, that we are very cognizant of the fact that environment comes on the top. If Mother Earth is not there, then there is no point of doing business. So we keep that in our mind. So our energy consumption of our products, either it is laptop or mobile phone, or let's say our washing machines or ACs. I mean, you might have heard about the smart things. There's a product, a software product called Smart Things. It helps you in consuming less energy. It helps the consumer in using the product more efficiently. So those are some of the very small nuancing that we have done. Similarly, I'm very proud to say that I work for this company, Samsung, where the standby energy consumption of a mobile phone or a laptop has gone down by 10x. So what is standby energy? I'm sure a lot of you would know that if, let's say, the phone is fully charged and it is still plugged in into the electric socket. So earlier, let's say it used to consume, let's say I'm just, for the sake of understanding, it used to consume 10 units of electricity in a day. But now if your phone is charged, fully charged, and still it is plugged in, it will consume only 0.1 unit of electricity. So imagine the amount of energy consumption that has gone down. So these kind of things that we have done. So of course, as far as battery consumption or battery replacement is concerned and all those things, we keep that in mind, the modular design of the things, then repairability, a lot of other things that we are doing. And manufacturers are not opposed. So what you said, that if at all manufacturers are opposed, I will speak for Samsung, we are not opposed to it. We are rather appreciative of the fact that what the government is doing and what MIT has also done as far as e-waste kind of the policies or the technologies related to e-waste is concerned. A fabulous job by Dr. Chatterjee when he was in MIT, and of course still he is probably guiding, and Mr. Gutharwal is there. So fantastic job they are doing, and kudos to everybody. And as far as Samsung and the industry is concerned, they are also doing their bit as far as the environment and repairability. I'll take a pause, and probably I have a hard stop, but I'll extend for another, with the permission of Dr. Chatterjee. Maybe, I mean, he's the senior most. If I can stay for another 10 minutes because I have another meeting at 5:15.
We have this session going on till 5:30, so please stay. We would request you to stay as long as you want. Yeah. So,
All right,
Mr.
sure.
Raj, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for your perspectives. And it's actually very good to see that from Samsung, we are hearing from the manufacturer side, we are hearing from the built-in obsolescence to, design rethinking, to circularity, to, repairability index. That is very good. I think I would say this is a very good change that is coming in the perspectives of manufacturers also. And we are hoping that the policy, when it comes in India, it is taken, everybody is taken into account. As you also mentioned, there are challenges. So I hope the government, takes care of all the points of the consumers as well as the manufacturers. So we hope for the best.
So
Let's
Samsung
wait
never
for.
had, Surbi, sorry, Samsung never had built-in obsolescence. We never ever have promoted that. Never ever.
It's not about Samsung. I did not
We
say
have
about
never
Samsung, but
ever.
there
So
are.
we are one of the, not one, but the top, you can say, electronic player in the globally.
Mhm.
So, and we have never supported built-in obsolescence.
See, that's what nobody would accept it. I'm sure Samsung never had it, but it has been in market now. It is coming out, so there has been some existence of it somewhere. So that's what the discussion was. That built-in obsolescence was there, which should in first place should not be there at all. But it has been there, so it was unfair for the consumers to have such things. But now we are talking, Samsung is doing a great work. I saw Samsung on the portal of Right to Repair, as Surinder sir shown the picture of the portal also, and Samsung was definitely there. So that's great, wonderful. Now let's move on to Mr. Matthias Reusing. Thank you for joining, Mr. Matthias, today. And he is the first counselor of European delegation to African Union. Now we'll have his perspective. There is a lot that he will also have to share, because the right to repair started, the thought, the policy, it came into effect right from European Union first, and I'm sure there will be a lot to learn from him. Please, Mr. Matthias, over to you.
Yes, hello. Can you hear me? Because
Yes, we can.
I'm jumping here from the highlands of Ethiopia to the Indian continent, and thanks for having me
I
here
see.
virtually. Can you see my presentation as well?
Not yet.
Not yet, because I did share it.
You did share, but right now it's not there.
Yeah, I noticed it jumped back to that we see all the people. That's
Can
interesting.
you
Let
try
me
this
try it
again?
again. Yeah, let me try it again. How about now? Is it coming?
Yes, it is.
It is? Okay. So you see my name is reusing. So it's a kind of a calling to talk about circular economy, and here specifically about the EU directive on common rules promoting the repair of goods. And the previous speakers referred a lot to the European Union, so I will go deeper into that. Starting with now with an overview of my presentation. So of course I have to start to talk a little bit about the European Green Deal and what's in it, especially in the area of circular economy. Then I do talk about the directive. And finally, Sorabi, you asked me to bring some examples from Africa, what we are doing here. So I will do that as the last part. So the European Green Deal, I think it's nothing new. That's basically a summary what it entails. In a nutshell, it's basically our nationally determined contribution for 27 member states. We are not 28 anymore, like it was mentioned before. Since the Brexit, we are only 27. But that's basically our joint commitment to become the first carbon or climate neutral continent by latest 2050. And what are we working on? I don't go through all the sectors, but you see, of course, if you want to do that, if you want to change your economy totally, you have to cover all the sectors. In the Green Deal, we have one component, which is about mobilizing industry for a clean and circular economy. So that's basically what I will talk about in this session. And just to recall, there are 3 principles of a circular economy. That's from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. First one is to design out waste and pollution. Second one is to keep products and material in use. And the third one is to regenerate natural systems. When we talk about repair, of course, we are mainly on key products and materials in use, but we are also, for new products, we cover also the design out waste and pollution from the very beginning, basically. So I start with EU policies and strategies on circular economy, and I talk about the European Commission, which ended its mandate in November last year. So you might recall in March, we had the European Circular Economy Action Plan 2030 launched as one of the main building blocks of the European Green Deal. And more recently, it was mentioned also by previous speakers in 2024, the Eco Design for Sustainable Products Regulation entered into force, and in the same months, and that was not clearly mentioned by the other speakers, we have, of course, a directive on the repair of goods. That's what we are talking about, which entered into force on the 30th of July 2024, and it aims at encouraging consumers to use their goods for longer, thus preventing premature disposal of repairable goods. Now, we have a new commission since basically December last year. Since 1.5 months, we have a new commission with new political guidelines, new faces, but our president is still President von der Leyen. And I just have some quotes from the political guidelines which are relevant for this webinar. So on a clean industrial deal, which is mentioned, and a more circular and resilient economy, President von der Leyen writes, we have shown that we can successfully reduce our emissions while growing our economy. So decouple emissions from growth. We must and will stay as a course on the goals set out by the European Green Deal. And she continues by saying, we need a new clean industrial deal for competitive industries and quality jobs in the first 100 days of the mandate. So by end of February, we should expect a proposal on the clean industrial deal. You might have also heard President von der Leyen speak at Davos. It's really worthwhile. It's a 30-minute speech. Very, very interesting, where she reconfirms all of that. Then she continues, we will put forward an Industrial Decarbonization Accelerator Act to support industries and companies through the transition. And we will work on a new clean trade and investment partnerships to help secure supply of raw materials, clean energy, and clean tech from across the world. Lastly, working to decarbonize our economy will be part of our continued shift to a more sustainable pattern of production and consumption, retaining the value of resources in our economy for longer. This will be the purpose of a new Circular Economy Act. So you see, there's even a new Circular Economy Act in the pipeline, which will be developed by the European Commission. And this is opposed to helping to create market demand for secondary materials and a single market for waste, notably in relation to critical raw materials. Okay, so that's about policies. So the new European Commission is in place, I mentioned it, and it underpins EU's commitments towards the green, clean, circular transition within the EU and in our international partnerships. And here you have the faces behind. I mentioned the president, but we have now also an executive vice president for clean, just, and a competitive transition. So that's basically about environment, social governance standards, but still to remain competitive. Then we have a commissioner. In the past, Wopke Hoekstra used to be the Commissioner for Climate Action. Now he's Commissioner for Climate, Net Zero, and Clean Growth. And I may add even for taxation, because carbon tax, we talk of course all about that. So he will be deeply involved. And also novelty. Formerly, we had a Commissioner for Environment, and the Commissioner for Environment is now also in charge of water resilience, and look at that, and a competitive circular economy. So we put our commitments on circular economy even on a commissioner level, in the title and of course in the mandate and it's in the work program. And finally, of course, we have our International Partnerships Commissioner to translate what we want to do rightly in the EU to also build alliances and investments abroad. So let me come to the directive. In short, it's basically the Right to Repairs Act. In full, it's called the EU Directive on Common Rules Promoting the Repair of Goods. So here's a presentation. It has a couple of main elements. So first is the obligation to repair for manufacturers and prohibition of techniques preventing repair. So that's design out waste from the design phase. Then access to spare parts at reasonable prices. It has an EU online repair platform, and it has an extension of the legal guarantee after repair. So these are the main elements of the directive. And so let me come one-to-one in more detail on that. On the application to repair. So manufacturers must repair goods. So they will be technically required by law. And this is a link to the eco-design requirements, which were mentioned by another speaker before, by Professor Sandeep Chatterjee. And this is for 10 years. And as I mentioned earlier, it must be for a reasonable price and time. And then manufacturers cannot take measures preventing repair, for example, by refusing the repair if the product was previously repaired by an independent repairer. They cannot do that. They cannot do using a software that will make it difficult for repairers to use second-hand spare parts, and they cannot discourage repair by falsely claiming that the repair is unsafe. So it's very, very strong what's in this directive, and a directive means European law, which has to be implemented by member states. And you have seen France and Belgium were mentioned going already ahead, but now this directive is, of course, for all 27 member states. Relationship with the eco-design regulation, of course, there is a relationship. Eco-design is, of course, more, when you look back at the 3 principles of circular economy, it's about design out waste from the beginning. So here we have basically the eco-design directive. It is a very product-specific implementing acts on related technical requirements. A manufacturer must give access to certain spare parts for repairers and consumers for a specific period of time, as well as provide updates of software and firmware. And here's the directive you're talking about on the repair of goods. That's more following a horizontal approach. However, the obligation to repair is limited to goods covered by the eco-design measures listed in Annex 2. So there's a whole annex on goods, basically, which fall under this regulation. And accordingly, the manufacturer must repair goods for which these requirements are set and within the specific period. That's again the time. And the charge reasonable price for the spare parts. So no overpricing. On the application. So we talked about the obligation to repair. It applies to spare parts covered in the legal acts mentioned in Annex 2. It applies also to products placed on the market before the entry into application of the directive, if repairability requirements existed at the moment of the first placement on the market. So that's linked to guarantee also. We will extend to new products that will be added to the annex on an annual basis. So of course, if industries are developing, there will be more products added. And then it applies to products sold to consumers only. Let's talk about the EU online platform, what it entails. So there's a voluntary registration, which is entailed. Then consumers should find easily repairers locally and abroad. It's about access conditions also. I will not go through all of that for the sake of time, but I'm sure Surabhi will share the presentation also. And it's about the development of an IT interface, which is also important in this context, so that a user-friendly one, of course, to be able to locate that easily. Guarantee, very important, the extension of the legal guarantee after repair. That's basically the flow chart, the 3 Let's just look at the green part. So if it's what's new, so after repairs, the legal guarantee is extended by 1 year. And then the seller must inform about the choice and the extension of the guarantee after repair. I hope nobody has problems with the washing machine like on this image you see there. Obligation to repair versus legal guarantee. Let's talk briefly about that. Again, basically another flow chart. I think possibly I will not go through it, but you see it's all this yes, no decisions basically, and then you see if a manufacturer must repair or must offer the repair, or if a manufacturer is not obliged to offer repair. Other measures included, there's a European Repair Information Form, which will be launched. It will be a standardized format provided upon consumer request, which allows consumers to compare repair offers and conditions valid for 30 days. So it's voluntarily at the moment. And the obligation to adopt measures promoting repair. So member states must at least adopt one measure, financial or non-financial in nature. And of course, it's very important to run information campaigns, to look into voucher systems and training on repair skills. Implementation and timetable of the directive. These are the indicative timelines. So we are in 25 now. So there will be a roadmap developed for 2025-28, and the first delegated act basically will be done. 26 by the 31st of July. That's a transposition deadline. Member states have to notify the Commission then basically of access conditions to the online repair platform, and there will be a second delegated act. 1 year later, exactly 1 year later, that's a deadline for the Commission to develop the common online interface I was referring to earlier for the platform. And by 28, 1st of January, that's basically is it in 4 years, 26 or something? Yeah, the online repair platform should be fully operational. You can imagine it's quite complex, so it needs some time to phase in and also to give manufacturers, of course, a sufficient time. Now, to conclude, I bring a few examples more, let's say not on repair, on the right to repair, but more on circular economy, what we do in Africa, and it's a lot, actually. So I will just give 2 examples. The EU has supported the African Union in developing its Continental Circular Economy Action Plan 2024-34. And I see Piotr is in the meeting also, which is very nice, a good friend and colleague of mine. He has been part of that also. So, as I said, we facilitate that through finance. And of course, now it's a call on us to align and support the implementation through extended policy dialogue, through EU-funded actions, and investments through the Europe-Africa Global Gateway Investment Package at continental, regional, and national level. And then we have a very nice example I'm very proud of. That's a 14 million euro program. In my previous posting in Zambia, my team developed that. That's called Switch to Circular Economy in East and Southern Africa. In a nutshell, it takes up recommendations or this study on 5 big bets for circular economy in Africa. Here you see the 5 big bets. We took out packaging and plastic waste and electronics and e-waste to focus on those 2. So this seminar is also about electronics and e-waste. So we will work on that. And here are 3 components. We will talk about the business enabling environment investment climate, work on that. It's different in different African countries in East and Southern Africa. You might know that Rwanda is at the forefront. Countries like Kenya, South Africa are also doing quite well. We will, in the second component, look in human and skills development, including vocational training. And then the bulk of the funding will go into matching grant facility, accessible for startups, SMEs, and joint ventures, also with European companies to invest in that. Of course, what I should mention, we also set up with European investment banks. That's still a process, and maybe other European development financial institution and African Development Bank, a financial instrument to get additional access to funding through loans apart from the grants we have under this program. Main principles, we want to support South-South twinning. There's a lot of knowledge, I said, Rwanda, Kenya, South Africa, and so on. Others are not so far, so we want to encourage this dialogue on all three components. And of course, green and digital is very, very important when you look at the EU so new guidelines of the European Commission. It's very much about green and digital transformation of our economy in Europe and globally. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Mr. Matthias, for the presentation. And I'm sure there were many pointers that as a government also, the government representatives in India, they can also take some, pointers from your presentation and may try to implement few things when the India comes out with policy, because you are the doers, you have already, implemented, and it's ahead of us. So definitely, I'm sure that is going to help. Thanks a lot, everyone. It was a wonderful session, I think. And we have got a lot of insights from different perspectives. If there is anybody from the participants who has some questions, you want to put out some points, you want to discuss something, the experts are here. They can take up your questions. If there is anybody from the participants who would like to ask, you can write your questions in the chat box if it is there. And I have also shared a link to our previous webinar, which was on responsible recycling, in the chat box. You can go through our previous webinar if you were not able to attend. I don't think there is any question coming from the audience. So thanks a lot. And this webinar
there is a question. I'm sorry, Sorabi. Piotr raised his hand. You might have not seen it.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, Piotr, please.
Yes, thank you very much. Thank you to all the speakers. This is a very pertinent topic. So I wanted to ask the Indian perspective, especially as Indians, but many other people around the world are very capable to repair basically everything. There is one place in Delhi, I forgot its name, but it's a hub. You can just bring anything and they will repair it. Do you remember the name?
Nehru Place.
Yeah, probably. So my question, thank you. My question is, do you still, why do you think that right to repair embedded in legislation is important in such places as well, where you have the skills to repair everything? I guess also in some places in Africa, for example, in Ethiopia, in Addis Ababa, there is this place, Mina Leshtera. No, but I just wonder whether those people who are very skilled, they may also face some obstacles very soon because of the, maybe software that is simply beyond their capacity. So yeah, just a question about that. Existing skills versus the tricks of the producers. Thank you.
Sandeep sir, would you like to take this?
Yes. Very interesting question. As you all know, Nehru Place is a hub. You have all sorts of expertise. As I mentioned in my presentation, there is a software lock that sometimes creates an issue. And there are components and spare parts not matching sometimes with the version of the phone and other tab. So if the manufacturers are giving spare parts and the tools, so this job would be more professional and more effective. So sometimes consumers are not happy with the money they spend and the service they got. So this is a gap that requires a legal intervention, because here they are mostly using the cannibalized component and cannibalized spare parts from the other phone. And sometimes software lock is creating a real problem. So it is not matching the security it was earlier having with that smartphone. I think it satisfies the answer. Yes.
And this legislation is also required to make the availability of genuine component in the market.
Yes.
For the long run, I think for the longer run, if there is a legal, policy behind this, if there is a policy behind it, maybe the bigger manufacturers, those who are in the market and they are creating a huge e-waste, they will be more responsible to come out with the,
Surabhi,
better solutions.
Surabhi, I can mention another point of view. Entire Nehru Place market, if you see, it is an informal hub. So the refurbished market or new refurbished sector around the world is basically a formal industry. And in the formal tax, country can also get the tax benefit, GST, and that will create more, formal employment. So they are not being happening. It is entirely informal. There are in Gaffar market also in Karol Bagh and in Nehru Place. They are doing an excellent job. They are now automating that using AI also, robotics. I have found doing a more professional work. But along with that, if there is some policy push or at least the framework come out from the Consumer Affairs Ministry, it will create a enabling ecosystem where the components can also can be availed in a affordable price. So then it will be a very vibrant business that will actually push the circular economy.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Sir Piotr. I think that gives answers to your questions. And actually, it's a right question. I've always been having this in my mind that India is being a place where repair is not a problem, actually. You go to any place, you will find a repairer very close to your house. So for us, it's not a very big problem. Then why this right to repair? So thanks, Dr. Sandeep, for answering this question, which I also had in my mind. Thank you. Thanks a lot, everyone. I would request everyone to please switch on their cameras for a minute. We want to click one photograph together. All the participants can also turn on their cameras. Thanks for being here today. Yeah. I'll just click the... Thank you. Thanks a lot for coming here. Have a great weekend. Enjoy your weekend, and we must meet in our next webinar. Whenever it comes, we'll be updating this on our LinkedIn platform. There are social media platforms that we follow. There is newsletter. You can subscribe to our newsletter. You can, reach us through the LinkedIn. You can write to me directly on info@icce.com. You can get in touch with us very easily. Go to our site also. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, everyone, for your time today. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.